In this video, I'm going to break down one of the most effective outreach strategies I've ever used. And you can also literally copy and paste it to fill your pipeline with qualified leads. This has been one of the highest performing strategies I've ever used from our business, and it played actually a huge part in scaling Expandy to more than 10 million ARR and beyond. It is predictable and it works actually across any industry. I'll show you the logic behind the strategy and then cover the exact flows and steps you can use without needing a huge pipeline or even a big sales team. The setup of the old way: most people start with the classic outreach playbook. They scrape a big list, then dump it into a spreadsheet and copy paste the same message to everyone and hope something sticks. And I still got messages myself like, "Hey, I saw your profile, I loved your latest post on outreach hacks, do you want to hop on a quick call?" It's volume first outreach, and it might have worked really well in the past, but believe me, now it's definitely dead. And that's because people started using the same template. They reach out with zero context and they treat everyone in the list exactly the same. And that's the biggest problem, because the old way of outreach, it actually ignores the only thing that matters in 2026, which is showing a sign that someone might care. These are called intent signals, small indicators a person might be interested. For example, they viewed your profile, sent a connection request, commented on your latest post, they were posting maybe about a problem they faced, or just attended a webinar you were hosting. So in a nutshell, outreach without intent, it's actually just guessing, and with intent, it's timing. So here's how you can start reaching out with timing. We start with targeting people who have already shown intent by scraping LinkedIn webinar attendees. Earlier, I mentioned there are many different types of intent signals, but one of the strongest signals we've ever tested is this: a person who takes the time out of their day to attend a webinar on a specific topic, and that's because they are actively researching the exact problem you solve. And with this type of outreach, we've actually gotten more than 65 up until even 75% acceptance rate, between 8 and 12% reply rates, and booked over 14 calls. Quite a lot, right? And of course, this works best if many people attended your webinar, but if you don't have a large following on LinkedIn, you can also just scrape other people's events. And here is how. First, we start with capturing the signal. Then we build a list, and on top of that, we start to run a warm omni-channel sequence. You need a webinar related to your topic. Ideally, this is an event you're hosting yourself, but it also works just as well for other people's events. And to find your event, just look up a related topic, click on the event, and then register. From here, we want to export the attendee list, and to do that, just simply copy the event URL from LinkedIn, and then we use Expandy to scrape the list. You go to search, new search, past the event URL, and boom, within a minute, Expandy will pull the full list to you. And voila, unlike random leads, webinar attendees are topically engaged, problem aware, recently active, warm by default, plus it's super easy to personalize at scale. And now you've captured your audience list, it's time to set up the outreach sequence. We do that inside Expandy, and from there we go to campaigns, new campaign, and then we pick the builder. And think of this like your choose your adventure map for outreach, and one simple way to set up your outreach is like so. We check every possible outcome in the sequence, and from here just click activate and watch the campaign start generating leads for you in the background. Because this audience is relatively warm, we don't use aggressive CTAs or long messages. In your outreach, personalize the message based on the webinar. Aim at starting a conversation and see if they have a problem you can help solving. And by positioning yourself as an authority on the topic, you're much more likely to connect with new leads. So that's the full strategy. While this works great on its own, there's another thing you can do to get even better results, which is your actual messaging. So if you want to see the exact messages, frames, and the angles we use on LinkedIn, just click here to check out the next video and learn 5 ways that you can immediately improve your response rates today. See you there.